Hey everyone, this is Tommy Black, and welcome to 5 or More Questions, episode number 29. On this show, I talk with artists about their current projects, stories they've never told before, and their connection to the Viper Room on the Sunset Strip. Today, we're talking to Vampiro, a wrestler, a musician, and a guardian angel in Mexico, among other things. Quite an interesting story. Here we go. Vampiro,
what up, man?
How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, brother? I'm laughing at you calling me Vampiro.
Okay, Ian.
I'm kidding, man. Come on.
Tell us about yourself. How did you get into wrestling, first off?
Well, I'm from Canada originally, and in the early mid-'80s, I was really into the alternative music scene in Montreal. It was kind of like the end of the first wave of punk, and hardcore and stuff was coming into its own, and I couldn't find guys to commit to playing in a band, and I wanted to play punk rock. So, you're from Canada, you play hockey by law, so I was half an athlete and half a musician, and I just couldn't. I was getting bored with organized sports. I was so into punk rock, but I just couldn't find anybody. So one day I saw pro wrestling on TV, and Iron Man was playing, and these two guys called the Road Warriors came out, and I was like, fuck, that's it right there. I can mix punk rock and sports and do the two things that I love the most. So that's kind of how it went.
Perfect. That's cool. It's rock and roll. It's punk rock. What sort of punk in Canada did you first discover or like?
I mean, back then, there was the Clash, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. Even I was really big into rockabilly, so the Stray Cats, when they came out,
cool.
That whole era, you got to remember back then, especially in Canada, it was really tough to find music. So we had bands like the Nils, we had Teenage Head, we had DOA. We didn't have a lot, but those bands like Teenage Head for us, that was like the New York Dolls with Iggy Pop. So that was like the band in Canada. So I kind of grew up with that stuff.
That's cool. Yeah, DOA played the club a few months back, and Slim used to have a club across the street called the Cat Club, and he hangs too. Those are all good influences, though. You can't go wrong with the Clash,
Hello. I remember selling my hockey equipment and running away from home when I was 12 to see them.
Wow.
So but I was really I had the bug when I was like 11 and 12. Like I went and saw Bo Diddley. I saw B.B. King. I saw all these really crazy bands, and then I was really, really heavy influenced by the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, obviously. So that's kind of was my upbringing in music, anyways.
Cool. And you tied in music led to wrestling in Canada. You don't sound Canadian, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I spent 30 years in Mexico, brother.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah. You had the Misfits or something wrestling with you at some point, or you were promoting them on your show or something?
I spent most of my career wrestling in Mexico and in Japan and Europe. But then when I got contracted by WCW back in the late 90s, and that was the competition for the WWE. So they didn't know what to do with me, and I was really into the occult and stuff like that, and I had the long black hair and the tattoos and looked a little bit like Marilyn Manson, that whole thing. And the Misfits were playing across the street at Prince's Club in Minnesota, and we were doing TV in the arena. So I contacted their manager weeks ahead of time, and I said, listen, I'm a fucking huge fan of the Misfits. They go with my character. My character goes with the band. Do you think, because I said to my wrestling company, how cool would it be if I had this punk band who is legendary, who's never really been on TV, play live while I came to the ring?
Way cool.
And because we all kind of looked the same, and the guys in wrestling were like, let us see them. So I met the Misfits in the club, and it was like 9 a.m., and they were, what you see on stage is what you see 9 a.m. Like Doyle was painted up, Jerry was painted up. Michael Graves was painted up, you know, Dr. Chud.
Wow.
And they were all into it. So the only one who kind of went fucking goofy was Jerry Only. And he wanted to become a wrestler, and I wanted to become a musician. So it was interesting, to say the least. But yeah, I had the Misfits on TV.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did they play, or did they jump in the ring, or what, did they just walk you up?
No, man, we just looked so fucking cool. We came to the ring, and they helped me beat somebody up. And then Jerry Only convinced them that he was an athlete and he could wrestle, and they put him in a ring with somebody he shouldn't be in there with, and Jerry made him angry, and the guy kind of beat Jerry up a little bit.
Oh.
So that was, yeah. And then Doyle fell in love with Randy Savage, Macho Man Savage's wife, and yeah, it kind of got messy. So
properly named band.
Fuck yeah, it was rock and roll.
Living
that's
up
for sure.
to the name. Living up to the name. What? And then, okay, while we're rock and roll with the wrestling still, Insane Clown Posse. Did you do some stuff with them or something too?
Yeah. We were a unit there for a year or so. We were great friends, and they wrestled with me. Those guys were good wrestlers actually. So I would play with them on stage. And they would wrestle with me on TV, and we just kind of toured the country doing that. It was a cool experience. It was a different genre of music for me, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I got into the Insane Clown Posse because I'm a huge, like I said, Sex Pistols fan, and I remember reading an article where Steve Jones played on the record, and I was like, fuck, I got to know these. And then when I found out I was going to wrestle with them, that was kind of the click right there.
Uh-huh. The shows, what were the fans like at those shows? Crazy, right?
Oh, they were out of their minds because we went on. They were another underground band, right?
Yeah.
And even though it's a different genre of music, to put them on national television, especially when they had that FBI thing going with the bomb threats against MTV and all that, it was an intense thing, and it was a pretty rock and roll move. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Yeah, their fans are pretty out there.
Yeah, the Juggalos are a different breed, brother. but they're good people, man. They're fucking great kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, they're just having fun. They're having fun. I'm hopping around here, but I was looking you up, and it was like you did security for some different bands before all this started, right? Or while all this was going
on. Go ahead and ask.
I gotta know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bodyguard for Milli Vanilli?
Yes, sir.
That's cool.
Yes, sir. Well, it was cool, and because of the story behind it, there was a club on La Cienega and Olympic way back.
What year?
Late 80s.
Late 80s. Okay.
It was called Rubber.
I remember that.
And and Mickey Rourke had something to do with it. Billy Idol had something to do with it. So I was working on a movie in Canada, Eddie and the Cruisers, too. You know, I was training the guys, and I was good friends with Michael Pear, who was Eddie. And he said, I'm doing another movie in Italy. Would you like to watch my house in Los Angeles? I mean, I was 18 years old. I was like, well, fuck yeah, of course, man. He says, then I'll get you this job, and just be careful of my ex-girlfriend because she's psycho, and she's going to come by the club and try to find shit out. I said, okay. So she came by the club, and she was working for Sandy Gallen. I don't know if you remember that guy, but he was a big talent agent, right? So she said, there's a band that has the #1 record in the world, and they're going on the MTV tour, and they need a bodyguard. Are you interested in going on a world tour? And I was like, well, who's the band? And she said, Milli Vanilli. I said, I don't know who the fuck that is, but yeah, I'll do it. She said, well, we start tomorrow night in Bakersfield. So I showed up in Bakersfield, and I see these two dudes, you know, green eyes. They look like male models. They had the braids, and I said, I guess that's the band. So I went up and introduced myself, and one guy spoke French, the other guy spoke German, and they were fighting. And I'm like, what the fuck are these two guys fighting about? Because they had to sing live. And then I found out the whole story of how it happened, and it was only me, the producer, those two guys, and two other people in the world that knew the whole thing was a scam. And I spent 2 years with them, kind of babysitting them, and because through Europe, it was all playback. But when they got to the United States on the MTV tour, the band was playback, but the voice had to be live. So they had to learn their songs. And I found out, and that's when I figured it out right away. I said, holy shit. So, yeah, that was an interesting experience.
Wow. So how did this first few shows come across when they were doing their live vocals for the first time? Pretty rough?
I mean, no, it was just girls going out of their minds, you know?
Yeah, so you can, yeah.
And, yeah, it fucked up the first time in Detroit because they had a DAT. And they were doing all these dance moves, so half of it was live with this thick German accent, and then the other half was Milli Vanilli. So they were doing their dance music, and they started to go into the chorus, and the DAT got stuck. So it went onto a loop, and it was just repeating the same three words, oh, girl, you know it, girl, you know it, and it was like, uh-oh. And the fans found out right then and there that this is bullshit.
Wow.
And that's what happened, brother. Wow. Yeah.
You know, some of that's kind of commonplace these days, though, you know? I mean, there were a lot of... Yeah. I mean, back then, you had to do... I don't know, it's always better when you're playing your... It's amazing, you know, you got to play your own shit, but there's a lot of artists that take that route these days and get away with it.
Well, that's the beauty of hardcore, brother.
Yeah.
Hardcore is... You just got to fucking put it on the line, man, and the people who come to see you understand that, and you got to put out, and the people are going to support that. So,
and in your bands, do you sing? Do you play guitar? What do you do in your bands?
Well, my band's called Vigilante. We're a hardcore punk band, and I'm the singer / screamer / fucking blender.
Now, you the band Rule of Thumb, is that a different band, or is that something?
No, that Rule of Thumb, they were around forever, and then they kind of broke. They didn't break up. They just kind of went their own way for a while. They reformed. They got another guitar player, so now they have two. And then I was looking for a band, and it just clicked. So we became this band. But I said, listen, man, you know, all the stuff that I do, especially with the Guardian Angels and all the things that I do with youth, and I can't use the name Rule of Thumb for what it implies, because I'm a self-defense instructor. I teach women how to get out of domestic violence situations, so we got to kind of work on that.
Right.
So we came up with Vigilante, and that's it, man.
That's the band. Got it. Yeah, and I think a manager of yours reached out to us about booking a show at the club, and I was like, hell yeah, that's cool. So Ashley and Jeff, the in-house bookers, are sorting that out as we speak, I think. You know? Yeah,
I got an email, so I just got to pick a date. So everybody says talk to you because you're the king.
Nah. Thank you. Wait, now go back to the Guardian Angel thing. What? You're the head of a chapter in Mexico City or something?
Yeah, I'm kind of like an international liaison. So, you know, I'm involved with Los Angeles. I'm involved with New York City, Mexico City, and now I'm leading the crusade here in Nevada and Las Vegas.
Wow. So you travel around and kind of straighten them out and help them do things right.
Well, it's kind of like everybody's talking shit.
Yeah.
All these fucking phony wannabe gangsters and all this, kill this, kill that. Look, man, stop that bullshit. In today's day and age, man, there's so many kids that are abandoned by their parents. There's so many people that are fucked up because of opiates, racism, discrimination, unemployment. You know what I mean? Stop the bullshit. So you got to do what's right, man, and just be a positive influence in somebody's life. That's what's so beautiful about hardcore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just put shit in its place. So yeah, every time I go to wrestle, I play with the band. I always take time out to talk to the kids. Just try to be positive. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's important. Yeah. Yeah, you change one life. You know, you've won. You know.
Yeah, man, you got to be. That's the whole point of singing in a band. You know, you got to be a lethal weapon with your mind, with your words, not with your fists and a gun.
Yeah, I was playing with this guy one time, and I'm like, "Well, we're not saving lives here," and he's like, "Yeah, we are. You are saving lives when you do it. You know, it's important.
It's very important, dog."
Yeah. Okay, Vampiro. What about the visit to Aleister Crowley's house? Can you tell me a little bit about that? Did that happen?
Yeah, man, of course it happened, dude.
How did that happen?
Well, you know, with the Vampiro character and all that kind of stuff, I've always tried to be super authentic.
You're doing research.
So I studied different religions and, you know, got into the Masons and then the Templar Knights and, you know, I studied voodoo and different ancient religions just out of curiosity. So I was wrestling in Italy, and Aleister Crowley had his house close to Messina, which is in the very south. Messina is a magical place because that's where all the Crusades left from way, way back in the day. So Aleister Crowley has his house, and it's abandoned, and the people won't go near it. They won't tear it down. They just put up a fence around it. The way it was when he got exiled from the country in the 30s is the way it is today. So you can go in there. It's a dangerous thing, man. You can't fuck around with that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
No, it sticks to you.
And there's an environment in there, and, you know, it's got his graffiti, his paintings. There's some things of his that are still in the house that even the weird people that practice magic leave it there out of respect and fear. So I went in there, you know, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, it's not normal. I'll tell you that.
Wow. Did it help your research, or did it hurt your research?
I mean, I did a ritual, you know, and you know, when you do these rituals, you try to expand your consciousness and all these kind of things, and yeah, it helped my research. It messed me up as well.
Yeah,
you know?
It's dangerous stuff to even play with or check out. Well, interesting.
Yeah, but it was awesome because it's just another experience, right? And it helped me understand things better. And I don't recommend it, but it's not a lot of people can say they did it. You know?
Nope. Nope. Now you got to go.
I don't think a lot of people want to. I don't think a lot of people want to say they did it, but you know, I've always tried to be authentic to the core, and it just is what it is.
I went to Freud's house once. A little different than Aleister Crowley's house.
Yeah,
but
yeah, a little bit.
One of the points of this is, you know, relating people to the Viper Room. What do you think of when you think of the Viper Room?
I think of something that probably most people don't. As I said earlier, I'm a huge fan of the Sex Pistols, and I know that when Steve Jones was going through his thing and he was starting to get back into music, and I'm going way back when he started playing in the Viper Room with different musicians, and that kind of helped him regain his credibility. So in my eyes, the Viper Room that's rock and roll royalty type stuff, not because of the Viper Room, but because of what it means, the people that go there, the prestige of the history of the club, what it can do for your career, just to be in that place as a person, as a musician. So that's what it means to me. It's just historic in so many ways.
Yeah, so many things have happened there. And yeah, I remember, I mean, now he's doing Jonesy's Jukebox and everything. That's huge. I mean, Steve, and he's been in there recently, you know, and
yeah, you know, like, he did that, the Neurotic, before the Neurotic Outsiders, right?
Yeah, Neurotic Outsiders.
Yeah.
It was with,
he was playing with,
John Taylor.
Duff from Guns N' Roses was in it. So Billy Idol would come up with him. So when that, I mean, just the area of town where the Viper Room is, right?
Yeah.
And the history of that area. The Viper Room is kind of like, it's the punk rock place. It's the rock and roll place. It's the real one. It's not the fucking poser one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the CBGB's or Max's Kansas City of LA.
Exactly. To me, it's Max's Kansas City. There you go. Because CB's was kind of, you know, CB's, you go there to get your ass kicked.
Tell me why it was Max's to you then.
Because CB's, if you went to CB's, you were getting fucked up. You know, you had no choice but to be in the pit because the CB's was the size of your car. The Viper Room is kind of like the people are just as cool as the musicians, just as important as the musicians. You know what I mean? It's a scene.
Yeah.
It's like everybody there is there for the same reason, and it's magic.
Yeah.
They had a place like that in Mexico City, and everybody was just as cool or as important or as fashionable as the musicians. I feel the Viper Room is that.
Wow.
It's LA's Max's, and if anybody knows anything about rock and roll, then you're gonna get it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can't get any better than that. There's a documentary about you of some sort?
Yes. Yeah, there's a documentary. We just finished it. We've been doing it for the last 3 years. It's debuting in the Austin Film Festival in 2 weeks.
Very cool.
And it's in a bunch of different festivals. Yeah, it's a lot of people think it's a story of a wrestler or my career or a wrestling movie, but actually it's the story of this guy who's this punk rocker and this character, but he's a single dad. So I would go home and, be dad, take my daughter to school, do homework, cook breakfast, all that stuff, and then on the weekends I would go out and destroy the world. And my daughter didn't really know that. So it was kind of showing my relationship with my daughter and the realities of being in show business and all these other crazy things and how tough it is to be a single parent, but how easy it is if you have faith in yourself and you can do it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an awesome movie. Breaks a lot of hearts because it hits home to a lot of people.
Wow, that sounds really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's in Austin.
Hell yeah, dog.
It's coming out in Austin?
It's the Austin Film Festival, and it's in 2 weeks, so...
Cool. Does Vigilante have anything out right now, or is anything coming out around the corner besides this?
Yeah, we're recording an EP next month, and we're doing 2 videos for that, and we're really, really plugging away, getting ready for you, brother.
Yeah, we're into it. We're stoked. All right, well, it's very, very cool talking to you, and it's a lot more than wrestling, which is a lot in itself. Yeah,
just a little bit.
All right. Well, thank you very much for talking to me. Had a good conversation. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate your time, homie, and I'll see you soon.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Where has it gone? What have we done? Is the American dream fully on?
Don't forget to subscribe to 5 or More Questions with Tommy Black on your favorite podcast app and visit viperroom.com for upcoming shows.